This is my second video update for the day. And in this update, we have got to talk about the Joe Biden op-ed in the New York Times with the title, What America Will Do and What America Will Not Do in Ukraine. And then we have to talk about this German-Greek tank swap deal. And then we're just going to do a clown world, and that'll be the video. So 3 stories, 2.5 stories, and we will wrap up this video. It is early evening in Greece. It's a little past 8 o'clock, but we still got some daylight, so I figured, why not do a video? So let me just show you this statue here. And I don't know if you guys can make that out, but the Greek municipality, the mayor of Athens, the Athens municipality, the mayor of Athens, Spiro Mercouri, 1908. Does that name Mercouri sound familiar? You can see there's some writing over here as well. If maybe the camera can catch it over there. So, yeah. Anyway, enough sightseeing for this evening. Let's talk geopolitics. And let's talk about the Biden op-ed, the essay in the New York Times. Now, this essay, it had the usual talking points, the kind of boilerplate talking points that we've become used to with regards to the collective Western Russia. We stand united, we're stronger than ever, Putin is evil, Putin bad. He's only brought the West and the Allies closer, and we're going to win this, freedom, democracy, etc., etc., etc. Okay, we've gotten used to all of these narratives and these talking points over the last 3 to even 6 months. All this stuff kind of predates, these talking points predate the special military operation. But there were 3 interesting passages and 3 interesting points made in the Biden essay. And just a quick aside, if anyone believes that Biden actually wrote this essay, well, I have a bridge to sell you. This essay was written by someone in his administration, perhaps Sullivan, perhaps Blinken, or someone close to Blinken or Sullivan, but it was definitely not penned by Joe Biden, that's for sure. But 3 interesting points made in this op-ed. And 3 interesting narratives, better said, in this op-ed. The first narrative, which is probably the one that's gaining the most media attention, is the fact that the Biden White House has decided to send the HIMARS, the long-range missiles, to Ukraine with one condition, that Ukraine has given assurances that they will not use those missiles to hit Russian territory. Now, these HIMARS, they're 6 missiles. They're very mobile. They have a range of around 80 kilometers, 50 miles. And Ukraine is hoping that these are the game changers, right? This is going to be the game-changing weapon. But Biden insists in this op-ed that he does not want the United States to get involved in this war. That is what he said. He said that the United States will not become a party to this war. And he said that he has received assurances from the Zelensky regime that this HIMARS system will not be used to strike Russian territory. Now, Peskov, the Kremlin spokesperson, has sounded off with regards to the sending of these HIMARS missiles, these weapons. And he pretty much said that you have to be out of your mind to believe assurances given by Ukraine and given by the Zelensky regime. And Peskov made it a point to say that Ukraine has already tried to strike Russian territory with various strikes in and around the border with Kharkov and the Belgorod area. And Peskov said that this is not to be believed, that Ukraine, the minute they get these, if they get these weapons, because I'm sure the Russians have already prepared for this, and I'm sure they're going to try to take out as many of these weapons as they can. But if some make it to the front line, then Peskov said they're going to definitely try to send these to Russian territory. So that was the Kremlin's response. But either way, Biden in the op-ed said that he has received assurances. Zelensky has told him, no way, Bidenopolis, we will not be using this to strike Russian territory. So that is the first point of the op-ed. The second interesting point that he made in the op-ed was the fact that he said the United States is not seeking regime change in Russia. He said, we are not interested in regime change in Russia. He said, no matter how disgusted he is with Putin, how he loathes Putin, he said he does not want to see a changing of the guards in Moscow. Now, of course, we know that that's a bunch of BS, because the goal of this whole exercise, this whole poking of the bear to get a war in Ukraine and fighting the Russians to the very last Ukrainian, is all about regime change in Russia. So that is just a flat out lie from the Biden White House. And the final and the most important point made by Biden, or the person that actually wrote this op-ed, the most important point that was made is that Biden said that the goal of sending the HIMARS to Ukraine and sending all of these weapons, they're also going to send more javelins and ammunition and all kinds of other stuff. It's all part of the 40 billion package, and it's all part of a 700 million package within that package. Anyway, that's where all of these weapons are coming from. That's where they've been budgeted. But the point of all of this is to reach a diplomatic settlement by inflicting pain on Russia. That is exactly what Biden said in this op-ed. And let me actually pull up the exact quote. In the New York Times op-ed published on Tuesday, Biden said Russia's invasion of Ukraine will end through diplomacy, but the United States must provide significant weapons and ammunition to give Ukraine the highest leverage at the negotiating table. Washington agreed to send multiple rocket launchers after Kiev gave assurances that the long-range weapons will not be used to strike Russian territory. And Biden wrote that he decided to provide the Ukrainians with more advanced rocket systems and munitions that will enable them to more precisely strike key targets on the battlefield in Ukraine. Biden said, as much as I disagree with Mr. Putin and find his actions an outrage, the United States will not try to bring about his ouster in Moscow. Quote, we are not encouraging or enabling Ukraine to strike beyond its borders. We do not want to prolong the war, just to inflict pain on Russia. That is the key line. Just to inflict pain on Russia. And so that confirms what Zelensky has been saying in his various statements and interviews, including the interview that he gave with Newsmax that I reported on in the morning, where he announced the 60 to 100 Ukraine military deaths per day and 500 injured per day. When he announced those numbers, he also told Newsmax that he believes that there is only a diplomatic solution, but that diplomatic solution can only come about when Ukraine starts to gain some leverage over Russia, i.e. get some territory back and to inflict losses on the battlefield, Russian losses on the battlefield. And so Biden is pretty much saying the same thing. The neocon Biden White House strategy now for Ukraine, the collective West strategy for Ukraine, is for the Zelensky regime and the Ukraine military to inflict pain on Russia and the Russian military, to inflict so much pain on the Russian military that when and if and when they actually do sit down at the negotiating table, Ukraine, the collective West, will have leverage over Russia, and Russia will not have leverage over Ukraine. That is the plan, and that involves inflicting casualties, heavy casualties on Russia, on the Russian military. That involves trying to take back territory. All of these things are running through the heads of the collective West so that they can gain enough leverage on Russia so that they can sit at the negotiating table and they can dictate some or all of the terms. This is their plan. I'm not saying it's a good plan. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm not saying it has a chance. All I'm saying is that Biden, through his op-ed, has confirmed what Zelensky has been saying. Well, because DC is pretty much telling Zelensky what to say. The scriptwriters in the Biden White House, this is how they want to move forward with Ukraine. Yes, they do want a diplomatic solution. I guess you could make that inference. But they want a diplomatic solution where they dictate the terms. That's what they want. And in order to do that, they've decided that they have to cause a lot of damage to the Russian military or take back some lost territory. That's the plan, everybody. Now, I agree with Peskov. These weapons, these HIMARS, if they manage to get to the front line, say they do. Let's just say that they do manage to get to the front line. Then an accident could happen. And if they do make it to the front line, there is no doubt that the Zelensky regime will use those HIMARS to try and strike deep in Russian territory. For this, I have no doubt about it. I don't buy into the whole assurances thing, not one bit. So a terrible accident could happen, and that could lead to some serious escalation. That's what I think. I hope that these HIMARS don't make it to the front line so we can avoid such scenarios. But if they manage to make it, then buckle up, because things could get very tense and very dangerous. But I'm also certain that the Russians have prepared for this and are preparing for this. And I think Peskov actually said that the Russian military and the Kremlin is preparing for this scenario. They have been preparing for this scenario. So I'm sure the Russians are well aware as to the Biden White House plan and how the Biden White House wants to inflict pain on Russia and on Russians. And I'm sure they're prepared for all these scenarios. So we'll leave it there with the Biden New York Times op-ed. And now let's shift gears and talk about German-Greek tank swaps. German-Greek tank swaps. So Greece is really getting sucked into this conflict in a big, big way. And this is very, very bad for Greece. But they're allowing themselves to get sucked into this thing. And this time, they are going to be sending weapons to Ukraine in what Olaf Scholz has called a Greek-German tank swap. Now, he's used this tank swap with this swap idea, this weapons swap idea. He's used it with the Czech Republic already, and he is putting together something similar with Poland. So this is coming from Politico. And it says, Germany announces new deal with Greece to send tanks to Ukraine. Germany will help get Soviet-era tanks from Greece to Ukraine by sending Athens modern German vehicles as a replacement, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced on Tuesday. Scholz told reporters at the end of a two-day European Council meeting of EU leaders in Brussels that he had spoken to Prime Minister Mitsotakis to enable such a tank swap, also known as Ringtausch in German. Germany already has implemented this with the Czech Republic, and they're working on something similar with Poland. Scholz had proposed the tank swap scheme in April as an alternative to Germany directly sending Ukraine its more modern Western tanks like the Leopard or the Marder infantry fighting vehicles, something the Chancellor has avoided doing so far as he fears it could drag NATO into Russia's war with Ukraine. Under the Ringtausch scheme, countries that still have Soviet-era gear, like the T-72 battle tank or the BMP infantry fighting vehicles, can send them to Ukraine and receive more modern German tanks as replacements. This allows Western countries to maintain a certain level of deniability because those Soviet-era tanks are identical to the ones Ukraine uses, meaning it's harder for Russia to argue that NATO is getting involved in the war by sending its top gear to Kiev. German officials argue that the tank swap is advantageous for Kiev because Ukraine will get the same tank models its soldiers and mechanics are already familiar with, while NATO partners like Greece can upgrade their military gear with newer German tanks. Scholz did not say what kind of Soviet-era tanks Greece would send to Ukraine, but in a press release, the Greek Defense Ministry said it would send BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicles to Ukraine and receive an equal number of German Marder infantry fighting vehicles in exchange, without saying how many tanks are involved in the agreement. So that is the statement from the German Defense Ministry. That is the statement for Olaf Scholz. So basically, it is a way for Greece, for the Czech Republic, for Poland to get rid of their old Soviet-era inventory, send it off to Ukraine, and then get shiny, brand new German military equipment. And Olaf Scholz is arguing that, well, the Russians will never know because, you know, it's indistinguishable. These Soviet tanks are indistinguishable from the tanks that Ukraine already had in stock, and that way the Russians can't say that NATO is involved in this conflict, though. You know, Olaf Scholz just admitted that NATO is involved in this conflict. But anyway, that's one of the arguments that Scholz made. And the other argument, which makes sense, is that the Ukraine military is already familiar with these Soviet-era tanks and these vehicles, so they don't really need much training to use these things. Okay, that's fine. I mean, the Russians know that NATO's involved in this, and you know, we all know, I know, you know, everyone knows that this is a war between Russia and NATO, with Ukraine as the proxy. But Greece is getting sucked into this in a big, big way. And the Russians are taking note, and they're seeing what Greece is doing, and they're not going to let Greece off easy. That's for sure. They are not going to forget this. Greece has burned its bridges with Russia forever, or at least, I believe, for my lifetime. But that's the choice that the Mitsotakis government has made. The Mitsotakis government, I've said many times, is probably the worst foreign policy government that I've ever seen in Greece, even worse than Tsipras. Actually, Tsipras and Syriza, the radical left of the Greek political system that used to be in power. They actually blasted Mitsotakis for making secret deals. Let's go this way, actually. We'll pass by the people doing yoga. And yeah, so Alexis Tsipras, who used to be the prime minister, and he's now the leader of the radical left Syriza party, he said that Mitsotakis and the Greek government, they're making secret deals and they're dragging Greece into the conflict. And he's right. I never thought I would agree with Syriza and with Alexis Tsipras, but he's correct. Then again, I never thought we would get a prime minister worse than Tsipras, but sure enough, it happened. So just really bad moves being made by Mitsotakis, but you know, Greece has become pretty much subordinate to the whims and wishes of the United States. And Turkey is noticing this too, and they're taking advantage of this because Turkey is also escalating with Greece. Erdogan is making some interesting claims on Greek islands, and he's poking Greece because he understands that Greece is pretty much boxed in. They have nowhere really to go at this moment in time. Russia isn't going to help them. Asia, Eurasia, Russia, that's out of the question. Greece is now fully integrated into the collective West. But the problem when you're dealing with Turkey is that the UK, Germany, the United States, when push comes to shove, they will always choose Turkey ahead and above Greece. always, and Erdogan knows this. That is why he's pushing the Greek buttons, and he's taking advantage of the geopolitical mistakes that Mitsotakis is making. Very, very amateurish mistakes, but it is what it is. So let's finish off this video with a clown world. And this clown world will be quick. And it has to do with Zelensky's BFF and fellow actor, the Baghdad Bob of this war, Mr. Arestovich. And this was posted on Locals. I haven't really had a chance to double and triple check it, but I thought it was funny, and I'm going to put it up there. And I don't know if this is a new post or an old post. I think it's a new post, or a video is what it was meant to be, but you're going to see a still image of it on the screen. And it's Arestovich. I guess he's in Kiev, and he is eating what looks like sausage, hot dogs with chips, with French fries, kind of around the hot dog. And underneath the post, it says, Mr. Olaf Scholz, where are our weapons? Germany, where are our weapons? And you can see in the food that he's holding, you can see a flag, and he's saying Mr. Olaf Scholz. So I guess he's eating what he thinks is German food, but the flag is obviously not the German flag. It is the flag of Belgium. But Arestovich doesn't seem to be aware of this minor, which is actually a major issue. And he's making a fool of himself, which is nothing new for Arestovich, because he is he's the court jester of the Zelensky operation. But he he doesn't understand that that flag is not the German flag. It's not even, I mean, you could say it's kind of close, but I don't think so. I don't think it's that close to the German flag. You can argue the colors, but that's about it. Kiev, they have some problems with flags. I remember I once did a story a long time ago, maybe like a month and a half ago, where I talked about how the Zelensky regime was telling embassies in Kiev to take down their flags, the countries to take down the flags that resemble that of the Russian Federation. So he was approaching any countries that had the same colors as the Russian flag, and he was saying, take those flags down. And he was doing that because he didn't want any of the Russian colors flying in embassies, even though those were the flags of the countries. So like Slovakia, or the Czech Republic, or I'm trying to think, Serbia, Philippines, all of these flags were which are kind of similar to the Russian flag, or the Russian flag is similar to those flags. I mean, there's only so many colors that you could use, I guess, in a flag. But he was like, take those flags down, because people are going to look at those and they're going to think Russian Federation. So this is not the first time that the Zelensky regime has had some difficulty identifying the flags of countries. And Arestovich is not the sharpest knife in the drawer, though he is an entertaining court jester. Anyway, that is the clown world. I will leave it there. theduran.locals.com. Take care, everybody.